Hey, this is my second attempt to answer the question how I managed to make so much change in my life. Okay, here's what I was thinking when I was hitchhiking or deciding if I was going to hitchhike through Zimbabwe, through Tanzania, down to Namibia, down to the coast, and then back again. This is what I thought. My current situation was one where I wasn't very happy. I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I wasn't far from depression, right? So I'm already in a negative state. And staying in that environment wasn't going to help me get out of that state of feeling like, yuck. So I envisioned what would be worse than attempting to hitchhike through a few African countries. What would be worse? So I visualized myself being in a hot air balloon, crossing between two continents and running out of helium. Okay, so the hot air balloon is going to sink into the sea, and I'd be in trouble. All right, then I was like, hitchhiking is nothing in comparison. So basically what I did was I visualized something totally much worse, and it made the journey or the mission of hitchhiking through these African countries with very little money like nothing in comparison. So if you're in a situation that you don't like and you want to improve the way you feel and maybe you want to create a better result in your life, what I would suggest to you is imagine a worse off alternative than doing the thing that you want to do. So for example, random one, okay, let's say you're not happy in your job and you don't have another job, but you got a little bit of savings, but you're in this trap. You're afraid. You don't want to miss out on your monthly paycheck. So you kind of stick it out in this job and you just go through it day by day, and you end up spending so much time in a job you don't like. What I would say is forget that. There are so many alternative ways to survive. So I would start looking for alternatives and I'd make a leap of faith. That's what I do. That is what I do actually. One of my friends who is a computer cyber hacker expert, he does security for banks and things. He called me chancer because I would take chances. And I guess I do take chances, but they are somewhat calculated chances, and they have landed me in trouble sometimes, but just with being nice and friendly and just showing people that you're trying to do the best that you can, or that you're not trying to be offensive or whatever, you can usually get out of trouble. That's not helping you much though. How to make change. Fear is probably what's holding you back. And I've had fear. We've all had fear. Fear, you have to work on it. You have to realize that fear is it's not even real. Okay? In your imagination, you will have a picture of a bad scenario. Okay, so for example, you see a girl, you'd like to approach her, boom. Unless you've done it a lot of times and you've learned to think otherwise, the natural way of thinking is having this image pop in your mind, boom. She doesn't like it, she is offended and upset, and she rejects you, and it's so bad. Okay, so because you've created this experience in your mind, obviously you're not going to want to approach. Who would be crazy enough to want to approach if that is what they believe is going to happen? So you've got to change what you believe will happen if you do the thing that you would like to do, but you're afraid to do it. The other way to do it is to have no thought and no picture in your mind. Okay, so if you meditate, which I don't do often, but I understand the principle. It's just a principle of shutting off thoughts. So in your mind, you've got thoughts coming, boom, boom, boom. They're going through your mind like an open tap. They're just going through. Start to develop the ability to turn that tap off, just to shut those thoughts off, and boom, no more thoughts. Okay? See a girl, no thoughts, just silence, and then just approach with no expectation of a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, so in different areas of life, it'll be different. Changing a job, have a backup plan. That should give you a bit of confidence. Myself, I'm just currently leaving a well-paid job and situation that was fine, but it was in a very remote and isolated place. And I ended up feeling very bored and lonely, and I just wanted to be around people and that kind of thing. So I handed in my notice with the intention to go to London, and London is very expensive, but I've come up with a plan B. I know how to survive in London without having to need a lot of money, and I've done it before, and I'll possibly explain that in another video, because I think, the article I wrote went viral on that particular habit. What is it that you fear? Maybe this is to you, Mark. What is it that you fear, or what is it that you would like to know about change? Basically, it's something like your current situation is bad, so whatever comes about can't possibly be as bad as your current situation. And you may need to magnify that yourself and just make yourself feel as bad as possible about your current situation and feel as hopeful as possible about your future. This morning when I woke up, I realized that the timeline of my future life has got so many moments that are going to happen. I'm going to meet the girl of my dreams. I'm going to get married. I'm going to travel, buy a house. I'm going to earn $1 million. I'm going to have lots of friends. I'm going to help people. I'm going to start an orphanage or a homeless shelter. I'm going to train people. I'm going to coach people. I'm going to help people. And these are all events that are going to happen in my life, right? And this morning, I condensed all those moments. I condensed them all into like one little block, and I visualized and thought about it. And I just felt such gratitude. I was like, wow, life is really great. I'm so thankful that I'm yet to have all these experiences, because they are going to happen. And I just experienced in that moment the feeling of how it's going to feel when I meet the girl of my dreams. I create a great relationship. I have a job that I love with people I like, and all of these kind of things. And it just made me so much more hopeful about my day. So some will call it positive thinking, but I think whether it's real or not, it's using your imagination positively. Because the other thing people do, they might say, oh, you're using positive thinking, those things might not ever happen. They might not ever happen. I might not live for that much longer, who knows? But it's better to believe in something positive that might happen, rather than the more acceptable thing is to believe that negative things are going to happen. Why do you allow it? Why do I allow myself to believe that, to let my imagination conjure up all these negative possibilities? And I don't feel bad about it. I'm just like, yeah, it's okay to feel bad, to have negative images and ideas about the possible future. It's crazy. So if you're going to imagine things that are probably not going to happen anyway, I mean, most of the things that you're afraid of and that you worry about are never going to happen, all right? But you kind of accept it and you tolerate it. Why not rather visualize and imagine positive things, even if they're never ever going to happen, right? You'll feel a lot better. And when you feel better, you might start taking action that might actually eventually lead to you creating those outcomes. If you don't believe something good's going to happen, you're not going to take action. So, Mark, did that kind of answer your question? I'm just speaking off the cuff. I didn't really think about it a lot. Thanks for the comment in the previous video. I really appreciate it. Thanks guys for watching. Leave your comments below. Ciao.